Welcome to the Daily Gospel of John. We're going to look at the first 3 verses of John 4 today. The Pharisees heard that Jesus was gaining and baptizing more disciples than John, although in fact it was not Jesus who baptized, but his disciples. When the Lord learned of this, he left Judea and went back once more to Galilee. So these Pharisees, these spiritual, social leaders in Jerusalem, they were a corrupt bunch at that time, which is actually in keeping with what all of the Old Testament prophets were saying about the spiritual leaders in their day, that all of them were using the people, keeping the people under their thumb, financially benefiting from the people, and really not caring for them. And the Old Testament referred to them as false shepherds who slaughtered the flock rather than who led the flock. So these are the ones that Jesus is dealing with. These are the ones that were already antagonistic towards John the Baptist, and they already didn't like Jesus because a few days prior Jesus had braided the whip and drove out the money changers and the animals out of the temple courts where they didn't belong. This was right in the backyard of these Pharisees, this little mafia type group. So they weren't real happy with him. So Jesus obviously wasn't afraid of confrontation, picking a little fight with them, but he was going to choose his battles now. He had a lot of towns to visit, a lot of people to share the good news with, many people to heal, and messages to preach. So he was going to choose his battles and head out of town and start going to the smaller villages of the Galilee rather than look for that final showdown. That was coming in a few years. But for now, he was going to go teach. One point I do want to make that is kind of interesting. It says clearly, although in fact it was not Jesus who baptized, but his disciples. And I just love the fact that God is willing to use frail human beings to participate with him in his great eternal work on this earth. Here these disciples were often pretty clueless and bungling guys, and Jesus already is handing over ministry responsibility to them. I think that's pretty awesome. Anyway, have a blessed day.